Welcome back. So tonight we're going to be doing an astro shoot. Currently just heading back in from Haukwa after I finished my last video. If you haven't seen that already, head down to my channel. There'll be a link across onto the first video I ever did. I hope you enjoy it. Tonight I will be doing an astro shoot out in Merrijig, or out near Merrijig, on the way to Mount Buller. So there's like a sheep run. So they use it to get the sheep onto trucks down a little side road. That happens to be facing due south, which means that I can compose it in such a way where I've got star trails forming right in the middle of the scene. Really, really excited for this. As you might see, there's quite a lot of cloud sitting in the background there. That's supposed to clear up now. It says that it's clear on the weather app at the moment. Obviously it's not. So I really, really hope it clears up in the next few hours and we can get this ready to go. I'll take you out to the spot now so I can show you during the day. That way you can get a better picture of what the scene's gonna look like, and then I can also check the weather out while I'm out there and really hope for the best that we can get this done. I only have 2 to 3 days in the week to shoot astro. I work nights at a restaurant for 4 days a week, so it only leaves me Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday where I'm free to shoot astro late into the night. Otherwise I start late, gotta find a spot in the dark, which is really, really difficult. Doing it this way, I can ideally set up just as sunset goes down, maybe get a few little photos for sunset just for fun, and then yeah, set up properly for tonight and stick it out for quite a few hours and get some awesome star trails, and also set up a time lapse. Astro, as you may know, is one of my biggest passions with photography, and sort of made me want to get into a little bit of video as well. There's a lack of astro photographers who are sort of this vlog style. Most of them are super serious, super technical, gear focused, and that's great. Provide us with lots of information, but I want to try and bring some of this personal sort of, this talkative vlog style into the astrophotography world. If you'd like to see some of my stuff, here it is. So yeah, as you can see, really love star trails, really love photos of the Milky Way. I've just started getting into time lapses, using the photos I use to stack into a star trail. I'll explain more of that process later, once I've got all the photos done from tonight. So tonight will be still photos that we turn into star trails, which we also turn into a time lapse. So let's head out to the spot now and you can see what's got me so excited about this scene. Let's go. Alrighty guys, so here we are. We're at the location now. We're down a little road called Hearns Road in just outside of Merrijig. So this is what I was talking about. This is the setup that they use to get sheep and whatnot onto the back of livestock trucks. So this will be our subject. It'll be framed just like this. I'll post a photo that I took when I was scouting locations the other day, just up here. So right in the center there, I'll put a little circle, and that's where we should expect to see the light trails rotating around. This is the type of composition I've been looking for quite a long time. It's surprisingly difficult to find easy to access locations that are facing south, with an interesting foreground for the shot. It should be really cool. So let's talk about a couple of things for when you're setting up for an astro shoot. First, you're going to need a clear sky. You're going to need no clouds. You're going to need good weather. Which also means that it's going to be freezing. So you're going to need layers, you're going to need a sleeping bag, you're going to need things that will keep you warm through the shoot, because you'll just be sitting around waiting for your camera to do most of the work. You also need a night where the moon ideally isn't all that bright. You don't want to be shooting astro on a full moon. So the reason we can't see stars during the day is because of the sun. The sun's too bright, it drowns out all of the stars out in space. The reason that you might not be able to see stars very well during the night could be light pollution in the city or town you're living in. There's just too much light in the area and they drown out all of the stars. Or it could be the brightness of the moon. The moon is a super reflective ball of rock, and it can act a bit like the sun. It can drown out the brightness of all the stars. So ideally, you want a super dark night. So tonight I'll be shooting in not perfect conditions. The full moon was, I think, 3 days ago. So the moon will be pretty bright tonight, but we'll see how that goes. It's set to rise at, I think, about 10 o'clock at night tonight. So I should get a couple of hours moon free with the stars rotating south. The other thing you want to do is download an app like PhotoPills. It's a paid app, it's about $7, well worth every cent, that lets you find a composition that works. So PhotoPills has a virtual reality, augmented reality feature that lets you use your camera, and it'll overlay a layout of the stars and whatnot, and the rotation of them, constellations and moon and sun locations. So an app like PhotoPills will let you pick targets. So if you're doing something like deep space, you can pick certain constellations or nebulas and whatnot. If you're doing something like this, it'll let you see where the stars will be rotating. It'll give you a little circle, and then that'll give you a general idea of the direction that the stars will be rotating in. If you're in the southern hemisphere, then the stars appear to orbit around the south. If you're in the northern hemisphere, then they appear to orbit in due north. Me being in the southern hemisphere in Australia, I'll be looking south. You end up with a really, really interesting effect. I'll post a photo up just of what I did the other night at my girlfriend's house. Just stuck my camera up in the air, pointed randomly at the Milky Way because it was a clear night, just to see what it would look like. And this was the result. I really, really, really like this image, and this is what made me try and find a location facing south. I really like seeing the center of that light trail, and that's the aim for tonight. So the other thing I want to do is talk about the gear that I'll be using for tonight. So I'm still a little bit undecided whether I'm going to be using my 15-30 or I'll use my 24-70. I really like both focal lengths, both 15 and 24 for this shot. I'll put in the test shots side by side so you can see the difference between the field of view. I'm leaning towards the 15-30 just because it's sort of a lens that they built with Astro in mind. Not that that really makes a difference for this shot. They're both pretty similar lenses. I'll be using a built-in intervalometer on my Canon R6, and I'll run you through all of my settings when we get out here tonight. Super, super excited. Let's head home and we'll get all my gear and all my car ready for tonight's shoot. And I'll run you through what I'm taking, why I'm taking it, and what I'll be using it for. The last thing I want to do is talk about the weather that I'm expecting tonight. It's going to be clear, which I'm super, super happy about because this is the day that I plan the shoot to happen on. I'm busy in the next couple of days. So it's going to be clear from now all the way through until midday tomorrow, which is amazing. It's going to be freezing cold though. At 6 p.m. it's going to be 7 degrees Celsius. By 11 p.m. it's going to be dropping down to 3. So it's going to be chilly. That's the difficult part of living in rural Victoria, just at essentially at the base of one of the biggest snowfields in Australia. It gets freezing, but this is what we got sleeping bags and we got lots of layers for. Let's head home and we'll pack through what we need for tonight. Alright, so let's run through some of the things that I'm taking for tonight's shoot. So I've got my K&F travel tripod. It really needs a replace. It's been beaten, it's been destroyed, it's been abused. One of the legs has stopped working on it. It won't come out of it because the foot's come off and I've lost it. I'm taking my sleeping bag. It's a Vargo Viper 500. It's rated to survival down to -18. It's rated for comfort down to about -5. So it should keep me nice and warm for tonight. And I'm also taking a first aid kit. It's always important to take a first aid kit with you on trips like this where you're out on your own, it's the middle of the night, there's no one around and it's not easy to get help out, just so you can patch up anything that you might need to do. Injuries can happen out of nowhere and a first aid kit always comes in handy. Alright guys, so we're here at the location. It's freezing cold, it's dark. I wanted to come out a bit earlier, but unfortunately I couldn't. Just currently getting set it up. I'm going to be using the 15-30 on the Canon R6. New filming little bits and pieces on my 6D. Let's go get started. Alrighty guys, so we're set up, we're good to go. I'm using an ISO of 8000 to light up the stars. Using an aperture of f2.8 because that's the widest that this lens will open up. Using a shutter speed of 10 seconds to avoid any light trails. I've taken a few light painting shots of the foreground just using my head torch. I'll throw those up on the screen now. I'll use those to merge together so I get a nice bright foreground and I get a nice bright background with the stars using my stack. Then I'll mask out the foreground and place it in the background. Super excited for this. Let's get it started. About 8 o'clock now, so I've got a couple of hours before the moon rises, so I'll get at least 2 hours out of the current setup I've got. Once the moon comes up and starts to bring some light back into the night sky, I'll reassess the situation. If I decide that I need a change of composition, I'll do that. But if everything stays how it is now, I'll leave it to go for 3-4 hours and change a couple of batteries and see how it all goes. I came out here the other day to do a location scout. I had my compass up, had photo pills up. Everything was telling me that the direction I was shooting was due south, and I just pulled out my compass before, and it was saying that it was north, and then it was saying it was southeast, and then it was saying that it was northeast. So I'm not 100% sure if it's actually south because I don't have a physical compass with me. Obviously we'll find out when I get the photos back and I'm able to stack them into the computer, because then I'll see where the center of the rotation is. But as it stands currently, it's all a bit of a mystery. Either way, even if it is not due south and it is southwest or northeast or whatever, I'm still going to end up with a really cool shot. This foreground's beautiful. Yeah, stars are super bright. I'm really excited for the result for tonight. I'll keep you posted through the night. So you might be wondering what to do on your astro shoot. I typically set my sleeping bag up in the boot and back seat of my car, grab some snacks on my way out of town. I listen to podcasts. It lets me look up at the stars, enjoy them, and just have something entertaining going on in the background. I'm typically an audio person. I grew up playing drums and listening to music, and I even studied audio engineering in high school. But I just like having something that I can learn from on in the background. Occasionally watch YouTube videos, but I can do that anyway. It's not often that I get a prolonged period where I can watch stars and listen to podcasts. That's typically what I normally do. I know a lot of astrophotographers sleep, especially when it gets late. You can get pretty sleepy and want to take a nap, so they'll set an alarm for a couple of hours or so, when they'll wake back up and check how everything's going, make sure nothing's out of place. I typically don't like to do that because I'm on the roadside often. So I stay awake. Not that I think that anything's going to happen, but if it was to, I would like to be awake so I can do something about it. Otherwise, just hang out and enjoy a night under the stars. Alright, so the moon started to come up now. It's currently 9:26. It's risen a little bit earlier than I thought it would, but it actually looks really cool where it is. So I'm going to chuck on my 70-200, chuck that on the R6, and I'm going to take a few photos of the moon as well. Then I'll wrap up here, I'll head back home, and we'll get an edit on. So photos of the Milky Way and of the moon are done and dusted. It's now 9:43, so I'll take off and head home in the next couple of minutes to make sure I've got everything. Really excited to dump these onto my computer. The light painting that I did at the start might not be necessary because the last few photos in the time lapse there, the foreground was completely lit up by the moon, and it was a lot softer, it was a lot nicer, it was a lot more fitting to the scene than the harsh headlamp torch I used to light it up intentionally. So I'll give it a shot a couple of different ways. I'll do a few different stacks. Yeah, let's head home and get these on the computer, and I'll run you through my process. Alright, so I've come out to Braxbridge this afternoon. I've just met with a wedding client to do their wedding early next year. Just going to go through with you the results of the astrophotography from last week now. Filming this quite a little while after I shot the photos and did the time lapse. I'm wrapped. Really wrapped. The star trails turned out fantastic. The still photos looked fantastic. The time lapses looked awesome. I did something new that I've never done before, which was a star trail time lapse. So the star trails build during the time lapse. Have a look. I'll post the still photos first. Then I'll throw up the star trail. I'll throw up the standard time lapse. And I'll throw up the star trail time lapse. I genuinely couldn't be happier. The location was awesome. Yeah, everything turned out how I wanted it to. The center of the star trails didn't turn out exactly where I expected them to. The location of south on photo pills wasn't 100% correct. It was near enough to, which is awesome. So I'm absolutely wrapped with how it all went. It's super sick. As always, I'd like to say a massive thank you for watching, and make sure you hit that like button, drop down in the comments if you got any video suggestions or if you want to keep seeing more. It'd be amazing if you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!